Have you ever had to ask your stylist how things are going, only you get blank stares, polite smiles, and I'm good? Meanwhile, retail's flat, pre-books are tanking, and the vibe sucks, but no one's saying a word. And so if you're a salon owner managing booth renters or W-2 employees and it feels like you're the only one who gives a rip about the client experience or the business, this is your wake-up call, because when communication breaks down, so does your revenue. You're left chasing problems, smoothing tension, wondering why nobody's stepping up. And here's the truth, because silence is not loyalty. It is a sign that they don't feel safe enough to speak, and that's a leadership issue. So if you want a team that communicates, takes ownership, and helps you grow without constant babysitting, this video is for you. Dude, when I first opened my salon, I was just thrilled that people wanted to work with me. I gave off nice girl vibes instead of CEO energy, and let me explain what that actually cost me, because I was super casual about it, and so I was really lax about hiring, and I avoided hard conversations. I ended up with team members who weren't aligned, they weren't accountable, and they definitely weren't driving profit. Pre-book rates dropped, retail slipped. I had team drama bleeding into the guest experience, and meanwhile, I was working overtime to hold the business together emotionally and financially. And I'm an empath, so I kept thinking, I'm being clear, I'm being kind. Why isn't this working? But unclear leadership doesn't just create confusion, it creates lost revenue. And most people won't tell you what's really going wrong unless you build the container for truth. And once I did, everything shifted. Sales went up, front desk issues dissolved. I stepped into leadership that felt calm, grounded, profitable. And so in this video, I'm going to show you the weekly and monthly system that I use to prevent drama from becoming disaster, and how I use documentation to keep team performance consistent, and a communication tool that builds ownership, not avoidance. Structure drives sales. You can't force people to open up, but if you want them engaged, invested, and actually driving revenue, you need structure. I learned this the hard way. Let me paint the picture. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember walking into the salon with my protein shake and a cute little outfit thinking it was gonna be an amazing day, but the vibe was totally off. And you know that weird, everyone's being too nice kind of energy, like they're avoiding triggering somebody or something. And it turns out two stylists had decided in the break area that they were no longer following the front desk script to pre-book clients because it felt too salesy. And guess how I found out? Because a brand new guest who had seen our ad said it was so refreshing that nobody asked her to pre-book. Cue my internal scream, because my brain immediately thought, how the F are we supposed to grow profits if nobody's closing guests into their next appointment? And that's when it hit me. We didn't have a communication problem, we had a leadership vacuum. Nobody knew the expectations because I hadn't set them. And so I began to roll out weekly and monthly structures, and that's when everything shifted. So the first thing that I did was implement a weekly Slack huddle. Instead of cramming a million updates into one long ass salon meeting, yes, even when I bribed them with bagels and coffee, I realized that short, consistent check-ins actually worked way better. These are quick 5 to 15 minute team huddles every Tuesday where we're gonna cover what's the top priority, where do we need support, what's the ROI for our time. No fluff, no namaste healing circle. This is very direct communication, just shared goals. These micro check-ins, they stop burnout before it starts. It cleans up energy leaks. It keeps everybody focused on growth and not gossip. The second part is the monthly one-on-ones, and this is where we go deeper before things get expensive. These private check-ins are where trust and accountability really get built. I use a 4-part structure that's been a game changer for me. I really start with number 1, reflecting 2 to 3 things that I see as really working for them from my perspective. Next, I ask them what's working from their perspective, 2 to 3 things. After that, I want them to share what's not working for them, 2 things. And finally, I share what's not working for me. No more than 2 things. My pro tip here is never bring more than 2 problems up at once. If you do, they will shut down, they will get defensive. Now, when we talk about what's not working, I don't jump in with a fix right away. I really want to open up the space for us to co-create solutions, unless it's something major like, gossip. But in that case, I will ask for the why, clearly lay out what I need moving forward and confirm, does that feel clear? Can I count on you for that? And this is really the money move, because this isn't therapy, it's leadership. Clear asks equals clear performance equals clear profits. For example, one time I used this exact structure to address gossip that was derailing a new membership launch. Instead of spiraling into drama, we had a breakthrough during this one-on-one. And that didn't just save the rollout, it also helped shift the entire culture into one of ownership and alignment and actual buying into the business. My second point is all around documentation equals profit insurance. So if you want to protect your profits and avoid having the same exhausting conversation over and over and over and over again, then I want you to start documenting. And no, I don't just mean sticky notes and good vibes, though I love sticky notes. I'm talking about real structured documentation that holds up if and when things go sideways. When I opened up my salon, I knew I wasn't just opening up any sort of hair salon space. We were mixing healing with high-end salon services. So yeah, there were pendulums, there were essential oils, maybe a grimoire. But you know what else I brought in? A corporate trained handbook consultant from Whole Foods. Because while I love a spiritually sovereign stylist, I also know the second that you start a business, someone's gonna test you and you better have receipts. So yes, you could bring your own scissors, blow dryer, and sacred tools, but you also had to follow a legally sound, crystal clear handbook that I built from the ground up. Because when one of my front desk girls went full cray-cray on me and threatened to sue me using ChatGPT generated legal messages, I could sit there really calm because of course I had a paper trail. The handbook said unemployment was at will. The policies were outlined and she had violated them. Those expectations were signed. It was no drama. It was just facts. And so a handbook really isn't just paperwork. It's actually profit protection. Of course, it keeps you out of court. I hope that never happens to you. And it gives you something to point to when performance slips. It shows your team that you're not playing salon dress-up business. You're actually building and running a business. But definitely don't stop there. Every time you hold a one-on-one, document it. Keep a running Google Doc or a file with the date, any of those celebrations, what challenges were raised, what was committed to, because if you don't track it, then you will get stuck in Groundhog Day, having the same conversation 6 times with no follow-through. And when things do go wrong, you will already have the notes, the context, and also the clarity for you to handle it like a true leader, not feeling like a reactive mess. And this is really how salons scale without spiraling. Systems really do replace guesswork, and that really does protect your profit margins. Number 3, real talk equals revenue. And let's be honest, your team's not going to open up if they think that they're going to get judged, steamrolled, or shut down. And that silence can be really expensive. Low morale equals low sales. Avoided conversations equals inconsistent client experience. And the longer it simmers, the messier it gets. And so if you want your team to own their zone, you've really got to make it safe to talk about what's not working. And I really learned this lesson in my relationship. Anthony and I run our businesses side by side, and we're building our marriage, and things get real. Like one day we were working together, I'm talking about simmering the perfect pasta sauce at home, and everything was feeling in flow, I was feeling really good. And then this man, well-intentioned Sagittarius, super fiery, decides to surprise me by adding cinnamon to my sauce without asking. And so of course, I snapped. Now, was it about the cinnamon? Not really. It was about the communication, assumptions, not knowing when we were partners versus when we were teammates versus when we were just tired and hungry. And that's when we had to learn how to switch roles with intention. When to lead, when to follow, when to pause. It's the same thing inside a salon. Whether it's your spouse or your stylist, if you don't have the tools to handle real conversations, everything feels personal and profitability goes out the window. And that's where I use a tool I call the ERA method. And yes, I use it at home and I use it at work because I love systems. So E stands for empathize. I try to start with presence, not to fix, just witness. So for example, I'll say things like, I hear you, or that sounds frustrating, or I can see how that would feel confusing. For me, this really helps to lower the emotional heat so that we can both stay open. R stands for reflect and respond. Now, this means that I mirror back what I heard, connect it back to maybe salon standards or systems. I'm building clarity here without blame. Reflect is, for example, so the checkout flow felt confusing today because the client wasn't sure how to pre-book. Did I get that right? And then I like to respond and say, got it. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So based on how we usually handle checkout, when we pre-book before taking payment and mention any promos, it sounds like we missed a step here. This part creates alignment, not correction. This is really about just reinforcing the standard or the policy and just modeling that clearly. And then A is ask, and this is really where emotional intelligence is built, where we invite somebody into the solution. So for example, I might say something like, what do you think would help shift this? Or would you be open to resetting the process? Or what support do you need to make this easier? Again, this is really about building emotional intelligence and ownership. You're not handing them the fix, you're actually creating a moment of connection and mutual responsibility. This method really turns emotion into action. You're not managing somebody's feelings, you're cultivating emotional intelligence as a business skill, because when your team feels seen, they can show up better and a lot more powerfully. And when communication is clean, sales go up. Point number 4, consistency is better than intensity. Look, If you're anything like me, you probably loathe the idea of organizing meetings and having heart-to-heart talks just to boost profitability. You didn't become a salon owner to run a daycare or host team therapy. You just want to run your business, make good money, do great hair, and not feel like you're constantly putting out fires. I get it. You don't want to just check in. You want things to work. But here's the real talk. One big pep talk doesn't change culture. One team meeting doesn't fix broken performance. One handbook doesn't prevent someone from ghosting you during the holidays. Consistency does. Weekly huddles, they're short, to the point, they keep the energy clean and your team focused. Monthly one-on-ones, they prevent simmering resentment, missed opportunities, and awkward exits that kill momentum. And documenting everything, that's not just for legal backup, it protects your energy and your bottom line. When you commit to these small but regular check-ins, you catch problems at the $500 level before they turn into a 5K mistake. Because at the end of the day, the key to profitability isn't just a killer marketing plan or some flashy new service, it's your team, your vision, and how you lead them. You don't have to be a corporate manager. You just need clear systems, consistent check-ins, and calm authority. And that combo, it turns polite staff into profitable performers and gives you the freedom to actually grow your business, not just babysit it. And if team management and admin land is eating up all of your time, then you'll want to learn how to claim those hours back. And I cover all of that in how to stop doing $12 an hour tasks in your salon and use these 4 AI tools instead.